In the modern West, the accepted method for changing human consciousness is an intense psychological struggle to untangle one's own mind. The framework presented by Bapuji Dashrathbhai Patel bypasses this internal battle. In his model, altering consciousness operates strictly as a mechanism of environmental physics. The starting axiom of his text identifies worldly suffering as the mechanical result of the entropic decay of matter over vast stretches of time. At the peak of this ontological pyramid sits Param Tattva, supreme luminous matter. This is the foundational, most refined state of reality. As we move forward in time, that pure luminous geometry fractures and degrades, condensing into the dense five-element physical world we inhabit today. The catalyst for the structural decay is agyan, or ignorance, the systemic forgetfulness of a soul's original luminous origin. This presents a physical tension. If suffering is a result of material decay, the act of remembrance must be able to physically reverse the flow of entropy. To understand how, we will map the causal pathway of a single emitted vibration of peace, tracing it from a practitioner to a passive receiver. We will treat Bapuji's text as a precise engineering schematic, evaluating its internal logic as a strict input-output system. Mapping this pathway shifts the focus of self-improvement from the counseling room to the laboratory of environmental physics. The system begins with an individual practitioner who has stabilized their internal state into soul consciousness. This state produces a continuous output of Param Shanti, supreme peace, which radiates outward as an energetic vibration. These vibrations are not aimed at other people. This model bypasses interpersonal communication and behavioral influence. As the system's flowchart shows, the emission node fires continuous wave sectors directly into the Vayu Tatva, the macro air element of our atmosphere. When the wave vectors penetrate the chaotic field of air particles, the atmosphere structurally realigns into perfectly synchronized, flowing lines of energy. The text defines this newly harmonized atmosphere as Param Vayu, or supreme air. Targeting the atmosphere provides a universal medium that touches every living inhabitant simultaneously. This creates an ambient saturation. While a person might ignore a teacher, they cannot opt out of the environment they physically occupy. The next structural question is how a standard human body mechanically absorbs this upgraded atmospheric data, turning consciousness emission into large-scale atmospheric terraforming. We now focus on a passive receiver, an ordinary human simply existing inside this terraformed atmosphere. This concentric schematic maps the human subtle anatomy, where the outermost boundary interfaces directly with the harmonized air. This receptive layer is the Pranmaya Shareer, the vital energy body. A direct structural link exists between biological respiration, the atmospheric air element, and this vital energy layer. As the subject breathes, the vital body ingests the Param Vayu. This causes the layer to illuminate and stabilize its frequency. The receiver undergoes this structural upgrade without reading a text or engaging in a deliberate meditation practice. Respiration in this model serves as continuous metaphysical data ingestion. The vital energy layer functions as a biological capacitor, charging with harmonized energy until it reaches a saturation threshold. Because respiration is an involuntary biological function, the body ingests these changes regardless of mental resistance or belief. The data enters the system before the intellect has the opportunity to filter it, making the upgrade a mechanical certainty of the environment. The ingested energy drives past the vital layer and into the subject's deeper esoteric architecture. At the absolute center is the target, the Karan Shareer, or causal body. It holds a soul's accumulated records, traumas, and negative patterns. This energy influx forces these tangled records to reconfigure into a symmetrical, stable pattern. This anatomical realignment produces an observable cognitive output, the loosening of negative thought patterns. Bapuji describes the subjective experience as the individual spontaneously becoming quieter inside. As the internal state stabilizes, the subject's consciousness becomes permeable to truth, effectively stripping away the initial agyan. Profound psychological change is achieved here through the mechanism of external environmental physics. The pathway is now complete. Emission alters the atmosphere, which is ingested by the vital body, reconfiguring the causal body to produce a cognitive shift. Ultimately, cognitive liberation is no longer an elusive mental struggle, but a downstream, mechanical consequence of subtle anatomical reprogramming driven by the environment. Zooming away from a single point of light to high orbit reveals how this mechanism operates on a planetary scale. On this wireframe globe, multiple practitioner nodes operate simultaneously, each emitting overlapping wave vectors of Param Shanti. These waves compound within the macro atmosphere, merging into a unified pulsing shield that encompasses the globe. This atmospheric shift penetrates into an invisible dimension adjacent to the physical plane. This is the subtle world, populated by disembodied souls caught in the same entropic decay as physical beings. The cascading network of harmonized matter extends outward from Earth to encompass the entire galaxy. This galactic scale remains dependent on the output and consistency of the individual practitioner. Bapuji warns that time lost in ignorance is everything lost, but the ability to initiate the mechanism is always present. The soul innately possesses the capacity to power this vast systemic output without the need for external tools. Bapuji's model positions the individual as an active transducer, where a sustained internal state alters the quality of matter across a galactic scale.